Hey guys, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness, another fantastic episode. This one's actually edited and not streamed. How exciting is that? I know. The only problem is I kind of feel like ass, so I might choke and stuff the whole way, but I'm doing this for you guys because I felt bad. I kept on doing those streams, which I'll continue to do, so I only must feel but so bad. But anyway, this is Chase HQ 2 for the Sega Genesis. Kind of rhymes a little bit. I believe there was an arcade game. I know there was an arcade game at Chase HQ, but I don't know if this is one of those Space Harrier and Space Harrier 2 type deals where there's a Space Harrier 1 in the arcade and then 2 came out on the Sega Genesis slash MegaDrive. By the way, I meant to say slash MegaDrive unless this didn't come out in Europe or whatever, but anyway. This game is basically kind of like Outrun, except you at the end you get to smash into a car. Unfortunately, the Sega Genesis is not capable of scaling, so it does its best approximation of trying to do so. It kind of does something similar to the way if you ever played Rad Racer back in the day. Fortunately, it does not have that sweet 3D mode that never worked. So there's that. I don't know if you're familiar with Rad Racer. When you used to push select, it would turn into like this weird pseudo red and blue 3D mode, and I think the game actually came with paper glasses. Actually just had a loose cartridge. That was actually made by Squaresoft, oddly enough, if you can believe it. There was a Rad Racer 2, by the way, so a lot of people liked it, but I think they just saw like a racing game on the NES that was behind the car. And when you go to the arcade, it looks like you see like Outrun and shit like that, and you see like a screenshot, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be fucking Outrun for the Sega Genesis. I mean, for the NES. Speaking of Outrun, the arcade game looks way better than this. I actually saw the arcade game one time when I was going on a road trip to south of the border, which if you're not familiar with that, that's when you go to South Carolina and North Carolina, the border. There's like a little amusement park type deal. I'm guessing if you go on the right actual exit, but usually go there to get fireworks. But anyway, on the way there, I remember seeing this arcade game and it looked like Outrun. Obviously the Sega Genesis can't do that, and like I said, it's the best approximation. This game's really hard to control on a console, but also I haven't played this in quite some time. Believe it or not, I'm not a huge racing fan, and that even rings more true back in the day when this came out, because racing games were kind of like this unless you went to the arcade, and then they actually played quite smoothly, at least on like your 16-bit and 8-bit American consoles. So we had like the NES and the Super NES. Super NES could do scaling quite well, and then the Sega Genesis, which couldn't do scaling at all. But like I said, it does a fairly good job. Right now you see in the arrow over there, there's a bad guy. I'm supposed to crash into them, but I'm crashing into everybody else. Let's say I'm practicing. Anyway, this video was requested by a long-time supporter of the channel, Trust Steph. If you have any requests that you would like to request, hopefully I just said that right. If you'd have any requests that you would like to request that's on a popular American 8-bit or 16-bit system, because I know overseas there are a lot more options. We just had the NES, the Master System, the Sega Genesis, and the Super Nintendo. We had this TurboGrafx 16, but I'm not going there. Those are the 4 systems that I'll support. But anyway, I think this is a pretty fine game. This was a rental back in the day, and for whatever reason, I grew a wild hair up my ass, and I was like, I'm gonna try this racing game, and I ended up trying it, and I realized that it was actually more than a racing game. It actually kind of looks like the town on Jaws. Was it Amity? I don't know. I haven't seen Jaws in a long time, but and I have the movie too, so I have really no excuse, and that's one of those classics that you should memorize by heart, but I haven't. Actually, right now in my head, I'm kind of thinking of the Jaws parody of, is it 1941 or 1942, whatever. That was also Steven Spielberg, where the girl's like swimming in the water, and it looks like the scene from Jaws, but instead a submarine comes up. It's not a huge spoiler because it's right in the beginning of the movie. If you're getting butthurt over spoilers of a movie that apparently nobody even watched back in the day, like a lot of people don't even know about that movie. I like how the bridge is so low water splashing unless I'm driving during hurricane season. But anyway, yeah, so I saw this during South of the Border in the arcade, and I remember playing this, but I think it was, maybe it was a sequel, I don't know, but I'm thinking it was the first game, but I remember it looking like Outrun and awesome. So there was two racing games in the arcade at the time of this. It was like right before, I guess, the 3D arcade games came out. Like Virtual Racer and Ridge Racer in the arcade like fucking blew my mind. But anyway, there was Outrun, which you were hoping that every home port would be like Outrun, but I always felt like Outrun never played the same. There's I think it was Hard Driving. I think that one was really cool, but I only saw that one time. We went to this place called Palisades, which was like an amusement park that had this, it was like a pool, but the water was like brown. It was really gross. I bet it was filled with kid shit and piss and duck piss and just piss and shit in general. It was really gross. Like, actually, there was like a little area of where you could use the paddle boats, and I just did that instead. I'm not gonna lie, I did go into the water because I recently had a watch that could go underwater to a certain amount, and I thought it was so cool that I could go 15 feet down and come back up, which is kind of scary because that place was like super murky. Why don't we talk about the game, Michael? Alright, we'll talk about the game. Yeah, you're driving a car and you hit it until it blows up. And the way I'm playing, it's like the Bad News Bears for cars. If you're new to this channel and you're wondering why I don't talk about the game, it's because that's what I do on my channel. Like I said before, I'm kind of like the poster child of ADD with YouTube gaming videos. But the good news is there's not many other channels like that, so I got that going for me. But yeah, Trust Steph, who has a really awesome channel that covers a lot of older Atari ST games mostly, he actually requested this, and he's been a huge supporter of the channel, and he requested I did this because he did some Atari ST version, I think, of this game, which is vastly different. Like, it is technically more, the version he played was technically more impressive with scaling, but it didn't seem to have the speed that this game does. But this game doesn't scale, and I like how that girl winks at the end. It's like, yo, what's up, you gonna get them? And I always like how in these older games it says like the company logo, like on that screen it said Taito. But yeah, unfortunately, when I saw the arcade game, and I remember playing this game and really liking it at the time, obviously I haven't played it in quite some time because I'm terrible at it. I played it quite a bit. I think I actually extended my rental when I rented this, but I was pleasantly surprised because most of the games during this time were really limited. Not to say that this wasn't, but this actually had a unique premise that other games didn't have. But seeing that arcade game and not having the change, I just had to stare at it in arcade mode, or attract mode, because I didn't have any change, and it was really depressing. It was like some random ass general store too, like some place, I think they had like peanuts, stupid like souvenirs and shit like that, stuff that like I would never stop at if I was in control of the wheel. But as you can see in this game, you probably would not want me to be behind the wheel driving the car If you can't tell, I haven't got much sleep either, but I think that this makes this channel really charming. All the quirks and idiosyncrasies. But anyway, that's Chase HQ2 for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.